All right, it's your bye-week edition of Deep in the Stripes. This is the sickest Bengals podcast around. As you know, I am your host, Elise Jesse. We're going to talk about the Brown family and the way they run this organization. We're going to talk about the grading system. I know you guys have probably heard a lot of podcasters and broadcasters talking about grades for certain teams, certain positions, players at bye week. That is always a popular thing to do. We're going to talk about Pittsburgh. We're going to talk about the remaining schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals. All of that is coming up. Stay tuned.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Deep in the Stripes with Elise Jesse.
From 31 yards, McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl. They did it. They beat Mahomes at home. Wow, Joe Burrow. No way.
The sickest Cincinnati Bengals podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, guys, welcome back. Happy Friday to you. It is almost the weekend, which you can relax this weekend, kind of, because the Cincinnati Bengals are on a bye. They're enjoying themselves probably, and as you should as well. I'm going to get right to the question that I have been asked so many times this week and this season, and it is about culture. So many people keep asking me if Zac Taylor has lost the locker room, what the culture is like, if he has, just not been able to establish a strong culture within this locker room. And this is what I've got to say. In 2020, yes, I wrote a piece about the culture within Cincinnati's locker room. And I think a lot of the issue there, truly, this is just my opinion. And I was just telling Sammy and Aniello that it's tough for me to be in a position to give my opinion. I'm just not used to it because in my previous work, I wasn't allowed to really voice my opinion like that on the team. And so now I can. So I'm always questioning if it's going too far or not, because my true opinion is only like a few people have actually heard in life. But I think a lot about that year, the 2020 year, where Zac Taylor was hired in February, and he comes in, and there are a ton of veterans on the team. You had Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, Joe Mixon, like all those dudes, Andy Dalton on the team at the time. And I think a lot of it was the fact that he did not know how to be a head coach yet. I think that Zac Taylor has grown into that role. And I see a lot about how Zac Taylor should be fired. Of course, we've discussed that a few times on here. But honestly, if you look at it, you look at Joe Burrow, and Zac Taylor can't take all of the credit for this because Joe Burrow is just a different level of athlete than we've seen in years past, especially in this organization, along with Ja'Marr Chase, along with T. Higgins. But this offense is clicking for the most part. It is humming. So while a lot of people would like to fire him right away, I do question if that would be the right move, because right now your franchise quarterback is putting up incredible numbers, MVP caliber numbers. The rest of the team just isn't backing him up on that. So I think this is more of a defensive issue. I think that there are much more problems on defense. Maybe there's a talent issue that's arguably true. Maybe there's a trust issue between Lou Anarumo and some of his players. Maybe there is something wrong with the culture. And if we're going to talk culture, we cannot talk culture without bringing in the front office. Because if there is something wrong with the culture in 2024, I think the front office started that. They started the problem there because they did not sign Ja'Marr Chase. They couldn't get a deal done with him. They let Jesse Bates go. They let DJ Reader go. And you've heard me say that a million times. But the simple fact, as a player, when you see these guys performing well, performing in Ja'Marr Chase's case, out of this world as far as receivers go, you see them perform like that, and then you don't see the respect monetarily. You don't see them rewarded with another contract. The rest of the players are going to look at that and be like, why am I going all out for this franchise? For what? What's at the end of this that benefits me and my family? where I get a few more years, a few more million, a little bit more money guaranteed. I think that the front office sent the wrong message by tagging T, because it sent the message, oh, we're going to tag T. And it was understood at the time. We're going to tag T so that we can afford Jamar Chase. But then he didn't get a deal done with Jamar Chase. It's just not a good look. Not a good look for the rest of the players. And I honestly think that puts Zac Taylor in a very compromising position, because his hands are tied in a way. He doesn't always have the final decision, the final say. Marvin Lewis didn't always have the final decision, the final say. Even on draft day, he didn't. The front office does. That's how this organization works. That's how it is. And the Browns family is funny. Like, I'll give you guys this now. There's only a handful of people that I've told this to, because I'm always like, I always wonder if it goes too far. But I think of the Brown family as, okay, so tell me if this is totally bonkers. You can let me know in the comments. You can totally disagree with this too. The Brown family is a family. They go into a mattress store, right? This mattress store is a high-end luxury mattress store, okay? And they are in a position where they are loaning their customers these mattresses because they trust their product so much, and they know that they produce such a high-end quality product. This mattress, like luxury cashmere on top, and you've got like the cooling under foam, whatever it's called, memory foam. Then you've got another layer of foam, like the body hugging foam. Like, this mattress is where there are some mattresses. Oh my gosh. Like the California King mattress, that's worth like, it goes for like over $115K for a California King mattress. Is that not insane? First of all, that's a real number. It's a real number. They loan this mattress out, and the Brown family's like, yeah, we'll test it out. We'll see if we like it. And they're like, all right, you got 60 days. We are pretty confident that you're going to want to actually purchase this mattress after 60 days. Brown family takes it home. They love it. Best sleep of their lives. They're more productive in the morning. They are refreshed. Their lives are infinitely better and more productive sleeping on this mattress every night. 60 days is up. The store's like, what's your decision? And they go, you know what? My life is better with this mattress, but it's just too expensive for me. And I think that I can get a different mattress elsewhere. And they go, okay, good luck. Well, unfortunately for the Brown family, mattresses are like toilet paper during COVID. You cannot find a good mattress anywhere, and the prices are just going up. They just continue to go up. So the Brown family goes back in, and now they're in a position where they haven't had a mattress to sleep on for multiple days, and they're exhausted. They're miserable, and they're like, okay, fine. I am willing to shell out maybe not as much money as that luxury mattress cost, but I'll go a few ticks down. Okay. They go back into a different store, a few ticks down. They're willing to spend a decent chunk of change, but unfortunately, mattresses are in such high demand that now their options are a couple of hammocks. That's what they got. And they have to overpay for these hammocks. Are they getting the same quality sleep as the luxury California King? Absolutely not. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, they have somewhere to sleep now. They have someone to fill the position. If you couldn't tell, Jessie Bates is the luxury mattress in this analogy. I don't know about you, but I would choose a luxury mattress over the hammock. That's just me. They're like the people that would continue to buy the cheap utensil, like the cheap set of knives, and have to replace them every single year instead of paying 5% more for a chef's knife and have that knife for 10 years. Why? I don't know. It's like, just spend where it is worth it to spend. Spend where it's worth it to spend. Now, to give them a little bit of credit, they did spend on Joe Burrow's contract. He would be a luxury mattress. But the luxury mattress is not going to make you a cup of coffee in the morning. either. Is this making sense? I hope it is. It makes sense to me. I don't know. Maybe it won't to you. Maybe it will. Now the Bengals overall in 2024, we can get to those grades because I have seen, we'll move on from my mattress analogy. But I've seen so many people giving, grades on positions, the offensive line, the cornerbacks, all that jazz. I think it's a waste of time. I'm not going to waste your time. Certainly not going to waste my time on position grades on where they are in bye week. I just think that that's ridiculous because I think of it in a different way. To me, the Cincinnati Bengals as a team, they go in every single week. It's like being in a class, right? Picture a class, a college course. You've got 17 presentations throughout this course, right? And you're in a group project. Joe, Jamar, and T, smartest kids in the class, like the smartest. They're sitting in the front row. They have great class participation. They're raising their hand. They know every single answer. And the professor pairs them with 3-5 more people who they're late to class. They don't give a rip about their grade. They're sleeping in class. That was not a stray to Jermaine Burton, by the way. They're sleeping in class and they're not going to do the work. So Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins are like, listen, we don't want to fail this class. Our whole grade is based off of these 17 presentations. So what we're going to do, we're going to come in, we're going to work overtime. You guys, you slackers, don't even have to show up to the meetings. You don't have to show up to the planning. We're going to write it all out. We'll give you an index card at the start of every week. Memorize the 3 sentences on that index card. Show up on Friday morning and say your part. That's all you have to do. We will make it easy for you to do your job to get an A in this class. And the slackers, they're going out on Thirsty Thursday. They're buying extra shots on Thirsty Thursday. They're showing up on Friday hungover. They can't remember what's on the index card, and everybody gets a failing grade. This team is 4-7. 4 out of 7 on any test, any paper is a 57%, which is failing. So I'm going to grade them as a team because they play as a team. They get an F, unfortunately. And I personally would never give Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, guys like that an F. But because they are a part of that group project, they are associated with the F, unfortunately. The professor sitting there knows that these 3 dudes did all the work. He doesn't have any choice. I'm the professor. He doesn't have any choice but to give them an F. That's just how it is. It's brutal. It's brutal. How pissed would you be if you were in that situation? I would be fuming. I would be pissed. Like, dude, you can't show up on a Friday and say your 3 sentences on the index card. Get it together. That's how I would be. I don't know about you. Let's get to the schedule, the remaining schedule. They have 6 games left. Oh my gosh. Did you guys watch that game last night? The snow game? That was intense. First of all, I kind of feel bad for Pittsburgh. Like, what is the NFL doing to Pittsburgh? Because they had the Ravens and then Cleveland and then Cincinnati and then Cleveland again. Like, it would be brutal for any team to face the AFC North 4 straight weeks in a row. Oh my gosh, that is just brutal for them. So Pittsburgh, they lose last night to Cleveland. And even before this game started, I was telling Sammy this before we hit record. As I'm sitting there on my couch, this game, Pittsburgh-Cleveland, is about to kick off. I'm like, I can't even pick who I think would win because it's the AFC North. You don't know who's going to show up in this division. This division is savage. You just don't know. And we saw that with Cleveland last night, showing up, hair on fire, playing incredible defense. They hold Pittsburgh to a couple of field goals in the first half and wind up winning in the final minutes, 24-19. Oh my gosh. So here's what I'm worried about as I look at this schedule. Pittsburgh's coming off a loss. So they're going to have added motivation. Mike Tomlin is going to find any possible motivation he can to get them up to go to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Pittsburgh also has rest. They have time. They have 10 days to get ready for the Bengals. It's not just the Cincinnati Bengals who have extra rest and more opportunity to heal their star players. Pittsburgh Bengals that week is going to be a super interesting game. That one, I know everyone is just deciding whether or not the Bengals are going to win or lose. Like a lot of people are saying the Bengals are going to go 6-0. They have to go 6-0. Can they? I don't know. I can't even tell you who I think would win between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati in this first game of the final stretch of the season. I think they can beat Dallas, obviously. Dallas provides some matchup issues, but I think the Bengals will be fine on that Monday night game. I also think it's absolutely hilarious that because this is a Simpsons game, the Bengals and the Dallas cannot be flexed out. Like they have to play in primetime Monday Night Football. Hilarious. Then Bengals face Tennessee. No offense to Aniello and Sammy. I think they will win that game on the road at Tennessee. Cleveland, here it is, AFC North again. If you see Cleveland, you just saw them last night if you watched the snow game. Cleveland 2-8, they've got zero to play for. There's nothing to play for outside of making the other teams in their division a little bit more miserable. And they take pride in that, as you saw last night. That's a toss-up to me, honestly. It's a potential flex game. It could be Thursday night, but it might get flexed into the next Sunday, which would be, I believe, December 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, a Sunday game would be so much, not for Jamar Chase because he hates early games, but for the rest of the team, I think that would probably be better for them to play on a Sunday afternoon versus a Thursday night. And then you've got Denver. That's going to be another tough game on their schedule. They've got to beat Denver. Denver's not a joke. Denver's going to be a difficult game for Cincinnati. And the Cincinnati Bengals, if they even want to sniff the playoffs, they've got to win all 6, in my opinion. And then the Bengals have to face Pittsburgh again. So they've got 3 more AFC North games on their schedule. 3 of 6 is tough. Tough for the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be a tough stretch based on what we've seen, the sample size of what we've seen so far this year. It's not going to be easy. I'm not just going to come out here and act like I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win all 6 because I don't think that it's as easy as just saying, oh yeah, they can do it. Of course they can. Will they? I don't know. The Cincinnati Bengals in 2024 to me is like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this either. The Cincinnati Bengals in 2024, this is what I've just dubbed them in my own household. It's the birthday cake year. Everybody's getting a piece. Everybody in the NFL gets a piece of the Bengals this year. The Bengals have to cut the party off. Stop the party. The party is over for the remaining 6 games of this schedule. Otherwise, they're all going to be watching the playoffs from Cancun. And I'm all about Cancun. I'm sure they are too. Who doesn't love the beach, the sun, the ocean water? A football player, an NFL football player, does not want to be there in January. Mm-mm. They want to be there after winning a ring. Marvin Lewis used to say this all the time. He would always say there's only one football team out of 32 who was happy at the end of every season. The Cincinnati Bengals, unfortunately, have never been happy at the end of any season as they still look for their first Super Bowl ring. Wild. Gosh, Cleveland. I'm worried about Cleveland. I think if, like, looking back at the schedule, I think I'm most worried about Cleveland on that schedule after last night's game. Like their defense was insane. Also, please, if you have time, go listen to Jameis Winston and his post-game presser. It is just pure entertainment. I love entertaining figures in NFL football, and he is one of them. I just like the way he describes things is just entertaining. I enjoy it. What else do we got? Okay, playoff situation right now. We've already talked about it. It's starting to get crowded for that last spot for the Cincinnati Bengals, especially because there's only 7 spots and the Bengals are on a bye this week, so they can't do anything, but they can hope for the Colts to lose at home and for the Dolphins to lose at home as well. The Colts might be in a position where, and I'm not going to say that any team is just going to lay over for another team, but the Lions are playing really good football right now. The Lions are a team to be feared. I feel bad for the Indianapolis Colts having to host the Lions on Sunday, to be honest with you. The Lions, where's my stat? It's hilarious. They have won 3 games by 38 points or more. They still have over 5 games to play, 6 games to play. Insane. There is, at last check, they're the 7.5-point favorite. And here's the thing. I think this is going to be one of the better games to watch on Sunday if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Anthony Richardson is, granted, he makes his mistakes, but he also makes incredible plays. I'm interested to see how he does against the Lions defense. Lions offense, obviously playing out of this world. They're one of the better scoring defenses as well. The Colts have given up 27 or more points in back-to-back games. Colts, this is an opportunity for the Cincinnati Bengals to, if they win, of course, in week 13, to make some headway in the race to the playoffs. At this point, it's a fight. It's a fight between, you've got the Bengals, you've got the Dolphins, like the Colts are the 8 seed, then the Dolphins, and the Bengals are the 10. As it stands right now, according to NFL.com. The Dolphins, I think they're interesting. I like their defense. I really like Mike McDaniel. And the reason why I like Mike McDaniel, you probably have caught on to this. He's also an entertaining figure in the NFL. He is so entertaining. And I like that he talks smack to the players from the sidelines. I find that hilarious. I think their defense is very good. I think Drake May, though, will present some interesting wrinkles for the Dolphins for New England. I think that, I don't know. That's kind of a toss-up to me. I don't know who would win in that game. I think maybe the Dolphins would have the edge over New England. But that's another toss-up game to me. But the ideal situation for the Bengals is that the Dolphins and the Colts both lose at home on Sunday. This is such an interesting season for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I wish that I could tell you, because I know that, so I've already said this before, like we've had so many rants in this first year of this podcast because the team has done so poorly in so many moments. But I want so badly for you to see your team win the final 6 games and squeak into the playoffs. I would love to see that for you. I don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't bank on it. I really wouldn't. There is a lot to fix on this team, especially a team that has been exposed as often as the Cincinnati Bengals have in 2024. They've got a lot of ground to make up. They have a lot of work to do. It's already been reported that during the bye week, Joe Burrow's car has been in the parking lot. Not very many cars were in the parking lot. I know this is usually a time where players take more time with their families. They take a break. They take like a little mini vacation. Doesn't sound like Joe Burrow is. He's dialed in. He's locked in. If you remember at the very start, he was coming off obviously an injury and no one was really talking about the guy. Like he just wasn't in a lot of conversations as far as like the relevant NFL quarterbacks go. And I remember an interview that Joe Burrow gave at one point. I don't totally remember what the podcast was, but he just kind of said like he wants to be talked about again. He wants to be relevant. He wants to make his team relevant. And it's so crazy to me that while he is certainly relevant in 2024, his team is on the cusp of just falling deeper into this pit of NFL irrelevance as we inch towards the end of the season. No major changes have been made as far as like the staff. Granted, something could happen between the recording of this podcast and the posting of it, but so far there haven't been very many shakeups. Zac Taylor said don't expect to see any major shakeups. I don't know. I guess they're just going to keep doing the same exact thing and hope for a different result. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins can certainly, well, outside of him getting hurt all the time, they can certainly do the same things and be fine. And that wasn't a dig at T. T, I think if he would have gotten the long-term contract, by the way, I think T would have played through some of his injuries this season. But without the security of a contract, why do that? So I get his point. I get him missing multiple games in 2024. He's got to look out for himself. That's the business side of the NFL. That's just how it goes. But I don't know. Those are kind of my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you guys, what do you think? Do you think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win the final 6? Do you think they can win the final 6? What do you think about Zac Taylor, by the way? Do you think that it's all on him? I really don't. I don't think it's all on Zac. And trust me, I am not like a rah go Zac Taylor kind of person. But I'm also not the person that's going to be like, yeah, fire him, go ahead. I don't think that's the solution, especially with your offense being as productive as it has, the numbers they're putting up. And he doesn't get all the credit for that. I've already said that, but they seem like they are enjoying the current system that is in place. So bye-week thoughts. Let me know what you think. Next week, we are going to, of course, dive even deeper into the Pittsburgh Bengals matchup. Let me know if you guys want to talk about like the history a little bit, because the history of this game, of the Bengals and the Steelers, is ugly. And there are quite a few moments that we could talk about if you want to do that. You just let me know in the comments. Let me know on the Facebook page, on Twitter, wherever you want to let me know. And I will take that into consideration. I will see you. I hope you enjoy your weekend with your friends, with your family. Take a little bit of time off and just enjoy and go out and buy some Tums, because Pittsburgh is coming to town. I'll see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Deep in the Stripes with Elise Jesse on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.